The shocking thing a fearful avoidant really struggles with. There's something deeply haunting about the way a fearful avoidant loves. On the surface, they can look confident, independent, and even emotionally detached. But behind that calm mask is a storm that never really stops. The shocking thing a fearful avoidant truly struggles with isn't love itself. It's safety in love. They can feel attraction, passion, even obsession. But safety, that's where everything falls apart. Because for them, love has always been tied to fear. Fear of being left, fear of being hurt, fear of losing control. And most people don't realize these aren't small fears. They're the kind that live inside the body, controlling every reaction, every silence, every time they pull away right when things get close. To understand this struggle, you have to look at where it begins. Most fearful avoidants grew up in environments where love and pain came from the same person. One moment, they felt cared for. The next, they were criticized, neglected, or emotionally abandoned. So their nervous system learned something tragic, that intimacy is unsafe. That connection equals pain. It's not a conscious belief. They don't decide to pull away. Their body simply reacts. When someone starts to love them too much, or when they start to care too deeply, their alarm system goes off. The brain screams, "You're getting too close. You'll get hurt again." And so, even if everything feels right, they'll start to sabotage it without fully understanding why. The shocking thing is, fearful avoidants don't just fear rejection, they fear acceptance too. Imagine someone telling you, "I love you for who you are." For most people, that's comforting. But for a fearful avoidant, it's terrifying. Because deep down, they don't trust it. They think, if you really knew me, if you saw the parts of me that I hide, you'd leave. So instead of leaning into love, they retreat. They test, withdraw, create distance, just to confirm their worst fear before it can surprise them. It's not manipulation, it's protection. It's their way of staying in control of pain that once felt uncontrollable. But this creates a heartbreaking cycle. They want closeness, they crave love, they long for intimacy, but every time it arrives, they panic. They might send mixed signals, give you affection one moment and silence the next. To their partner, it feels like emotional whiplash, but to them, it's survival. They live between two fears, the fear of being too close and the fear of being too far. It's like standing in a doorway, unable to step inside or walk away. That's the exhausting reality of being a fearful avoidant. They're trapped between wanting love and not trusting it. Here's what most people don't see: the guilt that follows. After pulling away, a fearful avoidant doesn't just move on. They sit with the weight of their actions. They replay every word, every look, every moment they ruined. They'll ask themselves, why did I do that again? They'll hate the distance they created, but the shame keeps them from reaching back out. It's a silent suffering, wanting to fix things but being too afraid to try. This is the part no one talks about. Fearful avoidants don't just avoid others. They end up avoiding themselves. They bury their needs so deep that even they can't recognize what they truly want anymore. What's even more shocking is how emotionally intense fearful avoidants actually are. They feel deeply, more than they show. They sense shifts in tone, energy, and emotion faster than most people. That sensitivity is part of why love feels so overwhelming. When they connect with someone, it's not a surface-level attachment. It's powerful, almost magnetic. But because they've been hurt before, their mind starts preparing for the loss before it even happens. It's like loving someone while simultaneously rehearsing the heartbreak. This anticipation of pain kills peace, no matter how good the relationship is. Many fearful avoidants also struggle with identity in relationships. They often adapt to their partner's moods or expectations, trying to be enough so they won't be abandoned. But over time, they start losing themselves. When the relationship ends, or even when they pull away, they feel completely lost. Who am I without this connection? Who am I when I'm not trying to be loved? These are the questions that haunt them. Their struggle isn't just about attachment, it's about identity. Love threatens to dissolve their sense of self because they never learn that connection and individuality can coexist. Another shocking thing they struggle with is trust. Not just trust in others, but trust in themselves. A fearful avoidant often questions their own emotions. Do I really love this person? Or am I just scared of being alone? Do I want closeness? Or do I just want to feel safe? These constant doubts keep them stuck in their heads. And because they don't trust their own feelings, they find it almost impossible to trust someone else's. Every time they feel peace, it's followed by suspicion. This can't last. That mindset becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The very act of expecting loss ends up creating it. But here's the truth no one tells them. What they're really afraid of isn't love, it's dependence. As children, they learned that needing someone meant being powerless. So as adults, they build a life around emotional independence. They tell themselves, I don't need anyone. But deep inside, they long for the kind of connection that makes them feel safe enough to need again. And that's the paradox that drives them. They want connection but fear the loss of control that comes with it. It's not that they can't love, it's that they've never experienced love as something safe. The good news is, healing is possible, but it's not quick or easy. It starts with awareness. A fearful avoidant has to understand that their reactions are not character flaws. They're survival mechanisms. Those walls once kept them safe, but now they're keeping love out. Healing begins the moment they stop running from their own fear and start observing it. When they feel that panic rising as someone gets close, instead of withdrawing, they can pause and ask, what part of me feels unsafe right now? That pause, those few seconds of awareness, can change everything. Because in that space, they're not acting from trauma, they're acting from choice. What's even more powerful is when they learn that safety can be rebuilt through consistency, not perfection. They don't need a partner who never leaves. They need one who always returns. They don't need grand gestures. They need emotional stability. Over time, small, predictable acts of love start rewiring their brain to believe, maybe this time it's different. And that's when they begin to open up. That's when closeness stops feeling like a threat and starts feeling like relief. But here's the hardest truth of all. The fearful avoidant's real struggle is trusting love without losing themselves. Because when they finally learn that being close doesn't mean disappearing, something beautiful happens. They stop running. They stop testing. They stop fearing that every good thing will end. Love starts to feel peaceful. It becomes a space where they can breathe instead of hide. And that's when you finally see who they really are. Deeply emotional, loyal, intuitive, and capable of extraordinary connection. So if you love a fearful avoidant, understand this. Their distance isn't rejection, it's fear. Their silence isn't indifference, it's protection. And if you are one, know this. You're not broken. You were just trained to survive love instead of receive it. The shocking struggle you face isn't a curse, it's an invitation to heal. To rebuild trust not just in others, but in yourself. Because when you finally realize that love and pain are not the same thing, you don't have to run anymore. You can finally rest. And that's when love becomes what it was always meant to be. Not a battlefield, but home.